Welcome back to From the Shed and welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, it is absolutely freezing wherever you are in the United Kingdom, whether you're in north, south, east or west. I'm pretty sure you're feeling some sub-low cold temperatures wherever you are. It's about -5 in Liverpool right now, so it is cold, hence the hood, hence the fit jumpers. Central heating's on as high as it can be, but it's still absolutely blitz out there. So wherever you are, make sure you wrap up, stay safe. If you've got snow like I have around me, make sure you don't go out unless you need to. Let's hope it doesn't cause havoc with the football over the weekend. We've got a lot of FA Cup coming up. We've got a brilliant game that we're hopefully going to be covering tomorrow in the podcast. But let's talk about strikers today. Before we do that, as always, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. But we are talking strikers. We're talking strikers. I don't know if anyone's been able to listen to the Jon Obi Mikel podcast, the recent podcast that came out. Now, obviously, there was a bit of back and forth between Jon Obi Mikel and Nico Jackson a couple of months ago. Obviously, Jon Obi Mikel, ex-Chelsea player, played under some of the greatest managers of Chelsea, some of the best eras of Chelsea Football Club, has been there, done it all. Won trophies, countless trophies with Chelsea, played with some of the best strikers, Didier Drogba, had Frank Lampard in his team, Michael Ballack, all these other players that were world class, around him. So if one thing we have to take what Jon Obi Mikel says about the club, the standards at the club at the time when he was there, the level of commitment from the players when he was there, we have to take that on board because he's been at the club. He knows what the club's about. He's part of the Chelsea DNA, especially some of the most successful times at Chelsea. So whenever he talks, whether we disagree or we agree with what Mikel says, we have to take it on board. We have to take it in. We have to understand and dissect it. And he's obviously said things before about Nico Jackson, some of it which at the time was true. He needed to score more. He needs to be more clinical. He's not the goal scorer that we need going forward. And obviously, Nico Jackson took a lot of what was on board. I think that was last season he said those comments. But Nico Jackson come out and basically told Jon Obi Mikel to shut up a couple of months ago on his Instagram account. Now, obviously, Nico Jackson started the season relatively well for us this season. Hasn't been playing in the Conference League, so he's been getting a lot more rest. He looks like he's been working on certain elements of his game over the preseason before the season started. And obviously, as I said, started the season in relatively good form, but it's fell off a cliff. I don't know where Nico Jackson is. I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know if he's stopped working as hard as he did in training at the start of the season, but something just is not clicking for that man. And this is the busy part of our season. We have to get a goal scorer. We have to be scoring goals. The pack of teams behind us chasing top four the gap is getting shorter and shorter. And this is a busy, crucial period of time where we need to have a goal scorer that is clinical in front of goal. Now, I'm not against anything that Jon Obi Mikel said. I think he's one of like I said, he's someone that has a voice, which is at times positive. He praises the club. He says a lot of things about the club that are true and positive. But when things aren't going well, it's good that there's ex-Chelsea players speaking up and speaking. I know Emmanuel Petit's done it in the past as well. I know that Didier Drogba's done that in the past. Frank Lampard's come out and criticised certain things about the club, even after his managerial stints as well. So there's nothing that I'm against when I hear ex-Chelsea players talk about the current Chelsea players and the sub-low standards. Jody Morris is another one. He's come out and said a lot of things about the club. So all of these ex-Chelsea players cannot be wrong about the current crop of players that we've got. Now, you do have to factor in the age. You have to factor in how young some of these players are. The fact that we're asking someone like Levi Colwill to be a leader, who I still look at Levi Colwill as quite a young player, someone that is still learning his own role as a centre-back, as a leader in that team. We're asking him to be the leader. Now, when Mikel was playing, you had John Terry's, you had Frank Lampards, you had Didier Drogba's, you had Cesar Azpilicueta's, you had Bana Savasvanovic, you had Gary Cahill, you had so many leaders, Thiago Silva, obviously recent times after Mikel left the club, but we haven't got any leaders in that team. But not only have we not got any leaders, we don't have a clinical goal scorer. And we spoke about this on the podcast so many times before about needing someone that is at the level of Didier Drogba, the level of Diego Carlos, someone of that level. it's Diego Carlos, Diego Costa, sort of that level, who can score goals, 20 goals a season, 15, 16, 17 goals a season, and chip in with assists, converts their chances from shots, just attempts at goal into shots on target, and is in the right space. And I feel like Nicholas Jackson has done that sometimes this season, but there's so many times when he hasn't done what we need him to do. And I think that is now becoming a point where we're seeing it a lot more evidently in the games where he's not taking those chances. He's not scoring the goals that we need him to score. And at this level, at Chelsea Football Club, you have to be a goal scorer. You have to be a killer machine in front of goal. You have to be, because what's worse is that we're having to outscore our opponents in pretty much every single game. We're prone to mistakes at the back defensively. We concede 1 or 2 goals. We lose a 1-0 lead and we end up losing the game 2, maybe 3-1. These things can't happen. We can't continually go out throughout this season and just try and outscore the opponents. We have to shut games up and see them off defensively, but attacking wise, that's another concern. We spoke heavily about our goalkeepers on this channel before. We've spoken earlier this week about the defensive issues with Mark Guehi being on the radar, with potentially recalling Trevor Chalobah, looking at maybe seeing what we can get out of Tosin and Levi Colwell as a stopgap for now. But we haven't really looked at what we need to do and who essentially we might need to sign, if not in this January window, 100% in the summer transfer window. We have to bring in a striker now. There is a first name that's kind of on the radar, Premier League player currently at the moment, Liam Delap, who is at Ipswich. Has started the season very well. I'll be honest though, I don't think Liam Delap is a big step up from what we've currently got of Nicholas Jackson. I think Liam Delap is a very similar profile in terms of his age, in terms of the way that he plays his football, the way that he's got the physicality, the strength to hold up the ball and do what Nicholas Jackson at times can do. Doesn't do it very well 90% of the time, but he can do it. But I don't think he's a step up. I don't think we've seen enough of Liam Delap to say, yes, let's spend X amount on him and bring him to Chelsea, because I don't think he's at that level yet. I think I would put him in the same category, the same group as Nicholas Jackson. I don't see him as a step up from him at all. He's not proven himself for a longer or a considerable amount of time to show what he can do. So I don't think Liam Delap, as much as I like him and as much as he bullied our defenders a couple of weeks ago when we went down to Portman Road, I don't think he is the one that I would say is top of my list. Now, I want to play you a short clip for those that didn't or haven't seen what Mikel said recently on his podcast. So I'm going to play you this clip now.
I really like the guy as a football player. I like him. There's something there as a football player. You know, I haven't said that he's a bad player at all. I just said that his finishing qualities, it's not there yet.
He's a young boy.
It's a young boy, exactly. And all I've said is that he missed a more kind of experienced striker to come into the football club to help him, you know, to help him improve, to help him get better. And because we all know, we all can see the shift he puts in, week out. So for me, I would like to see my African brother, like he said, do well in the Premier League, come to Chelsea, a big club, a massive club, you know, where we've had one of the greatest strikers in Didier Drogba from Africa, Ivory Coast, did really well. I like to see him do well as well, you know, in the club. So for me, I will not be, if he plays well, I will praise him. If there's something to be said about him where he needs to improve, I will definitely say it. And, you know, listen, if he scores every week and tells me to shut off, I'll take that, you know.
That was what Mikel said, I think, a couple of months ago about Nicholas Jackson, and the fact that he just wasn't doing what he needed to do. Now, my first thing about all of this, now Mikel, said that in August of last year, but that still rings true today about Nicholas Jackson. Let's not beat around the bush. And let's look at Nicholas Jackson's stats so far this season. Bearing in mind, this is a man that hasn't played no other competition apart from the Premier League. So he should be relatively fresh. He should be able to have the ability to be fresh and score goals. Now, this is Nicholas Jackson this season so far. 19 games played, 9 goals, 3 assists. It's not looking good, is it? I mean, he's not looking good at all. He did actually, he played one of the qualifying games in the Conference League, but he hasn't played any of the group stage games so far this season. It just doesn't look like a player for me that is going to I mean, he's not gonna get that 20 plus goals this season. He's not going to get us 20 plus goals this season. And I think the worrying thing about what I'm talking about here is we don't have anyone else currently apart from Mark Gu. We know that Nkunku has been told he's preferred more as a 10 than a 9 from Enzo Maresca. We also know that Christopher Nkunku is potentially linked with PSG and move away from the club this January. So it leaves us very short. Now, we could maybe put João Felix there. We could potentially put Cole Palmer as a false 9, but you want a prolific goal scorer in front of your attackers that is going to lead the line, that is going to get those goals, that is going to score the goals. And if that is a Nico Jackson, we seriously need to consider, even this window coming up now, we have to consider bringing in a striker. We cannot allow 9 goals from a striker who's played nearly 20 games in the Premier League. It's not good enough. It just isn't good enough. And I think when you look at the likes of Alexander Isak, who again, we've been heavily linked with, you look at his goals, 18 games, so he's played 1 game less than Nicolas Jackson. He's got 13 goals already this season, 4 assists. He's scored 2 goals in the EFL Cup, played 4 games there. But you can already tell that just watching him, the difference in Nicolas Jackson, the difference in Alexander Isak, the movement, the speed, the pace, the agility, the moments in front of goal are more clinical. You know, you can see that when Alexander Isak's got the ball, there is a sense of fear from the defender's perspective that he might go on and score. You know, he's good with his left, good with his right foot. I think if we can, and I'm not saying we can, because I think the valuation for Alexander Isak is going to be 140, 150 million plus. Now, we have to evaluate the 3 that I'm going to show you today, minus Liam Delap, who I don't think is ready to be the player that we want him to be at Chelsea. We have to evaluate what's best for value in terms of financially, in terms of longevity, in terms of how long we're going to have the player playing at their peak level for. Now, Alexander Isak, for me, brilliant player, you know, only 25 years of age. You know, he's won things across other European competitions as well. So, you know, top goal scorer as well previously. So he's got it all. You know, I love the fact that his movement in and around the box is a problematic thing for most defenders in the Premier League. And I think that's, when you look at the attackers that we've got, you know, João Felix, Cole Palmer, Jadon Sancho, Noni Madueke, those are the sort of attackers that would thrive and have that brilliant connection with someone like Alexander Isak, who they'd be able to bounce off, feed the balls through to, link up the play with. Aerially as well, I think Alexander Isak is probably one of the better strikers aerially when you look at set pieces, corners and free kicks. You know, he's one of those ones that will potentially try and get on the end of it, whether that's first to the second ball, whether the defender or, you know, a goalkeeper parries the ball away. Alexander Isak's killer instinct is to go chase down a lost cause. So I think we need to seriously consider Alexander Isak. He's potentially second in my list of players I would go with, if I'm honest, at the moment. Now, the next one, Viktor Osimhen, on loan, currently at Galatasaray. 12 games, 10 goals. Again, you can see that there is, in terms of the ratio of matches played per goals, it's a lot better than Nicolas Jackson already. You can see within the Europa League, again, 4 games, 3 goals, 2 assists, 3 assists in the Turkish Super League as well. This is a striker that we know, based on his time at Napoli as well, is clinical in front of goal. How on earth we were so close to signing him in the summer. You know, Jon Obi Mikel came out previously and said we were so close. If you listen back to one of the previous episodes of the podcast from Jon Obi Mikel, you'll hear how much there was a lot of work done on Jon Obi Mikel's side to try and negotiate and help this deal get done as well. It just didn't happen. It didn't materialize, but there is room for that to bubble back up, and hopefully we can try and get something done. Viktor Osimhen is third on my list, though, because I feel with Alexander Isak, he has got that Premier League experience. You know, he's playing with a team, you know, credit to Newcastle, that doesn't have the level of quality that should be possessed within Chelsea's current squad. So Alexander Isak would definitely be stepping up from Newcastle to come to Chelsea. And I think he'd be able to better himself as well, not just a team. It wouldn't be an improvement of the team, it would be improvement of Alexander Isak playing with better players that he's going to be getting service from. left, right, and center from our attacking options. So I think Viktor Osimhen would be my third choice. I think Alexander Isak would be my second choice. Now, my first choice, and you know who it is. I don't even need to try and beat around the bush here, but let me show you his face. That face needs to be in a blue shirt. That face has to be in a blue shirt. If it's not now, it has to be in the summer. Viktor Gyökeres has to be in a Chelsea shirt by the end of this season. It has to be agreed because I think practically as well, this is the one that makes the most sense. You're looking at 17 games played in the Portuguese uh, domestic league, 21 goals, 3 assists. You know, he's doing it in the Champions League as well, 6 in the Champions League, 6 games played, 5 games, 5 goals scored. You can look at the cup tournaments as well. He's just a goal machine. He's a goal machine. He's 26, considering that with Alexander Isak and Viktor Osimhen, who I think Osimhen is slightly, yes, same age, so he's slightly older than Isak as well. But 26 is peak years for a striker. We need one of those three: Viktor Osimhen, Alexander Isak, Viktor Gyökeres. One of those has to come to the club. They have to come to the. If Chelsea have got anything about them, and we want to try and win a Premier League in the next 2 or 3 seasons, the Champions League in the next 2 or 3 seasons, we have to invest in one of these strikers now. We have to invest in one of them. Nicolas Jackson, Chelsea fans, ask you this question: is Nicolas Jackson going to get you the Premier League? Is Nicolas Jackson going to get us the Champions League? Is he going to get us? What is he going to do for us? That's the question you need to ask yourselves. What is he going to do for us? What is he going to be able to do? And this is no criticism to Nicolas Jackson. Nicolas Jackson is a very, very good striker, but I think he needs someone to learn from. He's still young. He's still raw. I don't think we should sell him. I don't think we should loan him out. I think we should have him as an option in our squad. We know we've got the Conference League, but if we do make top 4 this season, we cannot go into the Champions League with Nicolas Jackson as our primary striker. We can't go into this to next season if we get Champions League with Mark Gu as our main striker. Now, you would expect Viktor Gyökeres to be linked heavily with Manchester United, with Ruben Amorim there at the moment. Now, we can strike while the iron's hot and try and get in there first and get that deal done. Now, clubs are going to be very reluctant to let Gyökeres leave in January, the same with Alexander Isak. But Viktor Osimhen is one that we could potentially get done. Get the deal done now. There's a break clause in the loan that he can move from Galatasaray midway through the season. His numbers aren't too shabby either. Now, he's third on my list, but I would still take him as a first choice striker because he's better than Nicolas Jackson. Nicolas Jackson can definitely thrive off him. We know that there was interest before in the summer. So 2 of those options, Viktor Gyökeres or Viktor Osimhen, they're both killers in front of goal. They're both exactly what we need in front of goal. We cannot have Nicolas Jackson. I repeat, we cannot have Nicolas Jackson as our striker going forward. It just won't work. It isn't viable. It isn't worth the risk of going into the Champions League with just Nicolas Jackson as a striker. We just can't do that. Now, another reason why I would go with one of those 3 is all 3 of them have played Champions League football previously as well. So they all have the experience playing at the top level in European football. This is what if the owners ever listen to any videos or anything, please listen to the fans, go and sign the striker. I actually don't mind about that. I think out of the goalkeeper, the defender and the striker, I think the striker is actually priority number 1. Defenders, we've got some. They're not the best, but we can get through the season. The goalkeeper, we've got this far with Sanchez and Jurgensen in goal. I think we can cope with another couple of months, but we still need to address that 100% in the summer. The goal situation, the striker situation is that bad now that we're just not clinical in front of goal. And we've been saying this for season after season after season. We've said it. I said on here before, we haven't recovered and haven't really replaced Diego Costa. We just haven't replaced him. We need to get a striker in that is clinical in front of goal, knows where the back of the net is able to link up with the attackers, and it's clinical in front of goal. And if the owners don't get us a striker, then this is on them. This isn't on Maresca. This isn't on the players. This isn't on the fans. This isn't on the coaching staff. This will be on the ownership who don't address these issues that are staring them right in the face, and they have to address it. They can't go into the next season making the same mistakes that they've now made 2 or 3 seasons down the road, because it becomes less of a managerial issue, more of an ownership issue. And the fans aren't stupid. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. We know we've got to stay in limitations of PSR and all the rest of it, but we also know we sold a lot of our youth academy graduates on for a lot of pure profit. We know we've sold our hotel to ourselves. We know we've balanced our books well. Now, if we miss out on Champions League, of course, that changes things financially for us. But if we make the Champions League, we need to be signing Viktor Gyökeres, Viktor Osimhen, Alexander Isak. One of those 3 have to come to the club before the preseason starts in the summer. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget, we will be back with the podcast as well tomorrow, live on this channel. So hit that notification bell. Make sure you get involved in the discussion tomorrow. And until then, I'll be back very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back with another video tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day.